Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Zach Celedonia.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast presented by MANSCAPED. I'm your host, Joe Kuzma, and flanked by my 1B, sometimes 1A, but he was out playing in the wilderness or something, going to weddings, bumping into Ndamukong Suh over the weekend. I see those tweets by my friend, the one and only Zach Flash Celedonia. He's got a big grin on his face. What were you doing, man? King of Prussia Mall. It's been a minute since I've been out that way, but it's still.
We had a wedding to go to. I've never been there before, and I kept calling it the Prince of Persia Mall because I've never heard of the King of Prussia Mall before. I'm not a big mall guy. And yeah, I saw Ndamukong Suh at the mall, dude. It was the craziest thing. I always think, like, when I go vacation places, like if I'm going to Florida or something, I've thought, oh, it'd be cool if I saw Tom Brady, like as a joke. And I see Ndamukong Suh at the mall. Not good for my paranoia about the simulation theory, because what are the odds of seeing an NFL player there? I saw him standing in line, and I did a double take, and I thought, wow, that's funny. That guy looks like Ndamukong Suh. And then as soon as I turned around, I spun back around, and I was like, no, that's Ndamukong Suh. And it made sense because we were in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of crazy because I've been to some of the Pens games, particularly like their postseason games. They'll have Steelers show up. I've said this story before. There was one time I bumped into a dude in the bathroom, and I was like, I can't place the name and face, but I'm like, you definitely play for the Steelers. You're walking around in shorts, which no normal human beings doing at this time of the year right now. It's cold in here with ice, but we did bump into one year Kevin Colbert, and I didn't believe it was him. I think I told this story to you before. My cousin's like that. He's nudging me. He's like, that's Kevin Colbert. I'm like, no, there's not. And we were there early. My buddy used to work for the Pens. We were in the club level and stuff like that. So he just walked out of the club level where we were heading to. And he's with the woman, presumably his wife, significant other. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, that's Kevin Colbert. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. I was like, hey, Kevin. And he turns around. And it's like, now what do? You didn't really think this one out, bonehead. So
real casual.
Yeah. So it was that was the year they drafted Colin Holba, long snapper. So
nice.
Yeah, it was right after that too, that week right after the draft, within that period. So he finally had some downtime apparently. And the first smartass thing that came to my mind was I was going to be like, so, hey, long snapper pick, huh? But I didn't say that, of course. It was just
it's all about tone. I'm sure if you would have said it in a joking way, you can always put off, or you can get away with busting balls as long as you get your tone across the right way. I saw Colbert before at some of my buddies and I went back to our high school 2 or 3 years after graduating to watch a Friday night game. And he was there and walked up to him and got to shake his hand, actually. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not an autograph seeker for the most part. I've got a couple cool ones that are, in my personal collection from various sports and whatnot. Steelers, obviously, a couple. Art Rooney II, who we're going to talk about here in a second. That just rolled off the tongue just great. But training camp, I think it was 2-3 years ago. I think it was pre-COVID, everything. And, guys stand out when they just do. He's always going to be dressed up. He's wearing a polo shirt and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's Art Rooney walking by. You know what I mean? And he kind of flies under the radar a lot more than Dan Rooney would. I remember being at the Hall of Fame in Canton for one of the inductions. I think it was the Bettis induction, and everybody's getting off the bus, and got to see John Madden and Dan Rooney at that time coming off the bus. I mean, Dan Rooney just real slow, Yoda-like, and everybody just parts the seat and lets him walk through the crowd of people. But
Yoda-like. He is very Yoda-like.
He was, in his later years especially, and, the wisdom and everything else, very much a good analogy for him. And the cool thing though with Art Rooney is it's almost like nobody knows who he is just to see him. He was kind of flying under the radar at that point, and one person, that's all it takes. One person identifies him and goes and takes a picture, and people are starting to think, they look around, they're everybody's looking for autographs in that environment and pictures and whatnot. And then another person will be like, oh, that's Art Rooney. And then it's sound the alarms, bells and whistles. And it's
that's
just
why I didn't say anything to Sue, because I didn't want him to kill me.
That's too crazy, man. That's too crazy. So But speaking of Rooney and all the things that are going on, but I got to ask though, it's like you were in that area. What was the general? Was there there had to be a buzz because you're right outside
Dude,
Philadelphia, right outside
uh,
Philadelphia there. Yeah.
there were numerous "Go Bird" calls dropped during the wedding itself, like when they were getting married, like the priest guy marrying them, and the groom himself dropped a couple "Go Birds." So, and the last song that was played for the wedding, like at 11 at night, was "Fly Eagles Fly."
Uh I mean, I could tolerate it some. It's like it's an NFC team, like
Oh yeah,
Eagles.
I didn't mind. I don't really have too much hatred for the Eagles, really,
I
at
know,
all, because
I know.
they just aren't in our way ever, you know. And I don't. I know like the Flyers are a big problem with the Penguins, and people hate them. So I can see that aspect of it. But I'm not a big Eagles hater by any means. I was rooting for them yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, I had the sentiments that they were just going to beat the brakes off of the 49ers, and then when Purdy got hurt, but that's a whole other topic. We've got a whole lot of stuff coming up here on the topic. So why don't we just get to it, because we're going to just keep dancing around this stuff. But still, it's pretty cool that you survived an Ndamukong Suh sighting. Even more impressive, maybe, that you were able to spot him and know who he was. Talking about Art Rooney II, he just had a press conference and had some comments. And the thing that probably drives me battiest about when they do these type of presser type things is everybody and their brother now is going to put out a headline or some form of clickbait or something that basically amounts to, oh, look, the Steelers just said they're going to do X and Y and Z, because he didn't say any of those things. Like, oh, they're going to improve the offensive. They're going to improve the team. The guy is not going to speak ill of anybody that's on the current roster. You know what I mean? It's just that type of thing. How do you feel about these? I feel like it's like coach speak, but it's more like owner speak.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of the stuff that he's talking about has already been predetermined. Like people got mad at the Canada stuff, and I mean, I admit that I saw the Mitch thing about him saying he hopes to retain him or whatever it was that he said. I don't know the direct quote, and that surprised me. But at the same time, yeah, he's not gonna say right there to the interviewer, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get rid of him. We're trying to trade him. We're not happy with this position. It's all coach speak and all owner speak.
Yeah, and I don't believe I have a transcript. I'm gonna try and find any of the direct quotes like he actually said. Just by virtue of this whole thing, it's like I like to at least say what I hate saying something paraphrasing it, but in a roundabout way, some of the things that were said, it was like, oh, for example, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. The gift that just keeps on giving. It's Matt Canada. And it's like there's just this whole vote of confidence. He didn't let the guy go. They haven't interviewed anyone else. Everything was Byron Leftwich was going to get fired, and the Steelers are talking to Canada, and Canada's going to be gone, and Leftwich is going to be hired. Now, he did let out some like little like blurb about they can or they will or they look to improve in all areas or something like that. The kind of paraphrase. It's like, yeah, duh.
Owner speak.
Yeah, duh. But everybody thinks it's this big rubber stamp approval or whatever. There's a few ways I see this. Okay, this goes back to what you and I were talking about. This whole off season so far. Like I said, Matt Canada, the gift that keeps on giving. We said you're not going to ruin Kenny Pickett's progress. And you're thinking, well, Matt Canada, if he sucks as an OC or whatever, but you didn't have a full offseason. He's given a benefit of the doubt that they didn't have all of this time together, and Kenny is a rookie, and he's going by like, generations before him with Art Sr. and Dan Rooney and how the Steelers have always operated. So that, yeah, is the Steelers' way of doing things antiquated? I don't know. Oh, well, winning seasons, you could say this. It was something like Pony was saying something like that with the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl now, second time in 5 years, and then they had some crap seasons in the middle, and they have different coaching staffs and things like that. They're lucky because it don't always work out like that. Jalen Hurts could have and I was wrong about Jalen Hurts coming out of college. He could have very well been a bum. And they were talking about that the whole offseason leading into all of this too. So there was no, what do you want to say, seal of approval or any guarantees that the Eagles were going to be the team this year. And the Rams, defending Super Bowl champions, now fall back off a cliff. It just goes to show you it's parity in the NFL. There's a few different thoughts and ways of doing things, but I can guarantee you, I don't think the Eagles, they win the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. they're not going to be dumping Nick Sirianni like they did Peterson. There were some other things going on there, some ulterior things, and among that being Carson Wentz just wasn't really the guy. I think they got kind of lucky. They're playing with good defense, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like more often than not, we get stuck with sounding like we're defending Matt Canada. And I don't think either one of us ever is defending Matt Canada.
No, I don't really like, or I don't think I
Yeah.
like or defend him. I just
No.
more so understand, like, not him, but I understand why the Steelers felt like they needed to keep him. And we hinted at it weeks ago that if Kenny finishes out the season strong, they may want to keep Canada because that's the offensive coordinator he's grown with and gotten better with. And this year is probably make or break, almost definitely for Canada. If we do better on offense and are putting up more points, I'm sure he'll stay longer. And if not, he'll finally get the axe. But yeah, I don't think it's worth getting upset about again that Canada is going to be the offensive coordinator, because this was decided about, like, I feel like 2 weeks ago at this point. It's been since he hasn't been fired. It might have just been a week. I don't know. All these days kind of just lumped together as the football season's dwindling away from us.
It really does. And now I saw a thing on one of the like the Echo Dot thing that I have. I don't want to say her name or else she'll wake up in the background somewhere here and try and talk to me. But it said the question was that they give you the hints, the tips on what to do with the Amazon stuff, and it was like, ALXC I can't even spell it. ALXA. How many teams are left in the NFL playoffs? This is like two to be exact, for those of you who call everything sports ball and don't pay attention to this stuff. That was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm not defending Canada. I think that the job he did frankly, it sucked. But from the bye week, this team, with the exception of Mitch Trubisky throwing a bunch of touchdowns, they should have only lost one game. They went 7-2, should have went 8-1. That's enough to leave a little bit doubt in your mind as the rest of the league is trying to also get answers. Look how many offensive coordinators are switching jobs or being canned, and openings are available. We talked about Tampa. The Jets had their opening. Who else?
Nathaniel Hackett going to the Jets as Rodgers bait. That's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Well, aside from the staffs that are going to be completely brand new, like Houston and Carolina and Denver, didn't the Rams also make a switch too, I think? Somebody else made a switch.
Oh yeah. The Rams got LaFleur's brother, so now right. McVay has the second LaFleur in there with him to run the offense.
Yeah, and it's just like and the Ravens are still looking for somebody too, and supposedly they're talking to Eric Bieniemy, and I'm just like, why would Eric Bieniemy take a lateral move? That's a step down. This dude's about to coach in the Super Bowl. Well, he could show that he could do it on his own. He's got to show to do it on his own as a head coach. If he goes out of Andy Reid's shadow just to another established head coach like John Harbaugh, who you don't know is going to for sure have Lamar Jackson in his stable, that's just going to kill any chance he has of getting the big shot head coaching, big cheese job, I
like Lamar, but even if he is there, are we sure he can run the Chiefs style offense? That's not really designed for a quarterback like Lamar. Him and Mahomes, albeit both good quarterbacks, Mahomes a great quarterback, obviously. They run very different offenses. So I don't know if Bieniemy would want to go to a team that is so run centric. You know what I mean? When he's made his name off of these explosive offenses, and Mahomes and Alex Smith back in the day throwing the ball for touchdowns down the field.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you on that too. It's just it doesn't seem like the right fit. It just seems like more like clickbait stuff. And we're gonna get into this when we talk about Brian Flores as well, unfortunately, because you got to say, I will say it right now, and it just comes off and rolls off the tongue the wrong way. But there's Rooney Rule requirements where all these teams have to interview a certain number of diversity candidates. Now, just because they interview someone, the squawking that comes out of this a lot of times is, well, Eric Bieniemy didn't get a job. And one of the things that might be throwing a bone for him here is getting in front of an organization like the Ravens, which which is, I hate to say it, but pretty much a well-run operation over the last 20 years. It's a solid organization. And those interviews will help him prepare for the other interviews that will land him the gig. Even though he's been with Kansas City, you still got to have this experience of the interviews, and also it's networking and who you talk to, and football is family. It's a big community. So there's a little more to it. I generally, I don't think that's a job he's going to take. I think that is like it's a double favor on both sides. It may seem like, oh, well, he's not going to get hired, so they're just doing this to satisfy the Rooney Rule requirement for the coordinator and stuff, right? Because that trickles down from head coach to coordinator now. But at the same time, I do think that could be a benefit to Eric Bieniemy. You never know who he's going to be talking to right now within the Ravens organization. That might be with another organization 1 or 2 years down the road as well. So that's where I'm at. That's where I feel with that. Moving on. Another gift that's going to keep on giving. I thought we were done with this dude. Mitch Trubisky.
No, please. He's already dead. Remember that gift? Dude, I was one of the people, now I sound like a hypocrite, because when I heard Rooney say that they believe that they're going to keep Trubisky for next year, I was like, well, to do what? Exactly. You know, at his salary, you know, making $8 million or whatever it is to be a backup quarterback. If he wants to take a restructure and like make way less than that, he can stay. I'm a big man. I can admit that he's a good backup quarterback. That'd be awesome.
No. I can't admit that. Like, no, I can't. The backup quarterback's got to at least keep you afloat. And okay, he won against the Buccaneers, but man, geez, like that game against Cincinnati or Baltimore. I'm sorry, Baltimore.
The Patriots game, the Ravens game. I mean, there's a lot. Well,
yeah, the other ones, but I'm talking about where Kenny gets hurt and then he throws all the picks, and it was
the
just
Ravens.
like, yeah, it was the Ravens. It's always the Ravens. It's always the Ravens. The Ravens are always
man,
like forcing the backups in. It's I know I sound hypocritical too, because I've said enough about Landry Jones, calling him Landry Goat back in the day. And yeah,
I'll tell you this, I'd rather them keep Mason at like 3 or 4 million than Mitch at 3 or 4 million. So I think we can agree maybe there, but the Mitch thing, I'm not upset that Rooney said that, because again, I can understand general manager, coach, owner speak. So I can get that he's just doing lip service, saying that kind of stuff. But I'm doubling down. I would be so shocked if he was back as the backup, making $8 million a year next year, especially because I think he feels a little slighted too.
Well, it's a little more than it's weird. Contracts are always difficult to talk about like this. So when people gotta understand that he signed a 2-year, $14.3 million contract, $5.25 million guaranteed, of which 2.6 or basically half of that guaranteed money is the dead money for next year. So he's actually a cap number of 10.6, but they would save $8 million. So he's actually making like $10 million as a backup. I'm sorry. That's when you look, I'll bring it up. We'll go by positions here. Let me find the quarterbacks.
10 million, dude.
Yeah, $10 million
like
for Mitch Trubisky ain't happening.
Signed my boy Dominican Sue for the season.
Oh man, but look, man, Aaron Rodgers, which is on the list further down. Let's keep scrolling here. Mitchell Trubisky is set for. Is this still what year is this? This is full contract. I wonder if we've got a 2023. Oh, geez, the cap numbers. This is always great, too. So Mitch Trubisky's right behind Joe Burrow and above Trevor Lawrence, and they're on rookie deals. To Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Herbert.
There's
all right,
Kenny down there.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. Okay, Colt McCoy, $5 million. Now we're starting to talk, man. Nick Foles, 3.6. Trevor Siemian, 2.4 cap. And I mean, some of these are give or take, might be in that, like you were saying, the 4 million, 5 million type range. So quite a few.
That's backup money. That's good backup money. You don't need to be paying a guy $10 million to maybe come in for 1 or 2 games. Best case scenario for the season. That's way too much. You can get a starter for that at multiple positions throughout the defense or offense.
Oh, I know, and that's part of the smoke and the fire of we haven't gotten into the free agents and offseason moves too. But you look at what Miles Jack is owed, and he wasn't a 3-down linebacker, and there's a little bit of I think he's got a significant type of savings as well if the Steelers were to move on. And I haven't made that kind of speculation just yet. Let me see if I could find our buddy here, Miles Jack, on this list as well. just to give you an idea of like what you were just saying, like Ogunjobi this year though was an $8 million guy.
There you go.
So there's
That's the kind
one
of impact player you can bring in if you're not paying your backup quarterback that kind of money.
Yeah, 2 years, $16 million for Jack. Jack would save $8 million. They carried a lot of it over to next season. 3.2 is the dead money on there. And I mean, yeah, would you rather have Miles Jack or a guy that sits with splinters in his ass? That probably won't be very good when he does come on the field. Somebody, you think I'm being harsh. You should see some of the comments like on Twitter or Facebook, like just the general, and people talk about this in the general Steelers threads, not just these groups and everywhere else where, God forbid, I don't know why I follow some of the things I do. I'm just a glutton for punishment, I guess. But somebody said Mitch wouldn't even make it as a bank teller. I'm just like... I'm like, that's so cruel. I know, and I'm defending like
he'd be giving away the money.
I'm hurting like Matt Canada, or trying not to hurt Matt Canada feelings and say the guy will get fired. Mitch will end up somewhere. I just don't think Mitch. Would I be okay? I would be okay with Mitch returning, just not on a 10 mil total cap hit. It's like, nope, dude. We're gonna cut you and re-sign you for like $2 million, or maybe they re-sign him like 2-year deal and throw like 10 mil, 12 mil or something at him, and it's like 6 per, and there's a little bonus, and it's spread out, and they
at
have
that point, the ball's in his court at that point if he wants to stay or not. I'll tell you who wouldn't pay a backup quarterback $10 million, the Ravens. So
yeah, well, they're not going to be able to pay. Their quarterback's not going to want whatever that they're handing out anyway, which is going to be interesting enough. But yeah, the Mitch Trubisky thing, and he was already like kind of running his yapper at the conclusion of the season, and then to hear Art Rooney say whatever, it's like, why is there this fascination? And then of course I think you and I were kind of in this same thing on Twitter somewhere where we're like, oh well, the Mitch defenders are already out in full force on this news. See, look, he's gonna be back, blah blah blah. And it's like
sharks.
Yeah, oh, they are. It's terrible. It's terrible, man. It just it drives me up a wall. I guess the one thing, you brought this up, I think you had a little bit of extra to talk about with Brian Flores. I know we were already mentioning him a little bit, but just kicking over that way before we talk about another potential high dollar ticket item here. Flores has been getting a plethora of interviews, and a lot of people have linked him with the Arizona Cardinals head job, which I kind of wonder, he's already gone through one volatile ownership team experience with the Miami Dolphins, if he wants anything to do with the Cardinals whatsoever. And I also kind of wonder if teams are just looking at this. I wonder if he'd have any interviews if he was unemployed. That's number one. And
I'd probably definitely help on the Steelers for a season, help springboard himself out. I mean, we led the league in picks, right?
That's correct.
I thought so. So, I mean, there's stuff on paper that he can go to teams, or his agent can go to teams with and be like, look what my guy did. Look what he can do for your team. So I think it definitely helps that he was on the Steelers for the season to get his name back in the circles, because it seems like every other day he's popping. I think I saw the Vikings concluded an interview with him the other day, if I'm not mistaken. Not for what position exactly, but
defensive coordinator, as did the Cleveland Browns. I think those were the 3 jobs. He may have had a 4th one that snuck in here somewhere too for interviews.
So, I mean, yeah, he's getting a lot of looks. I think you're right. You're really onto something with the whole. He's already been kind of like through it, for lack of a better explanation, with the NFL and their ownerships of certain teams' ownerships. So I think he'd want to go to a place like of those mentioned. I guess like Minnesota. Like I never hear anything really bad about their ownership. They hold on to guys for a long time, and that's where we got Tomlin from. Ironically, before or after he was in Tampa Bay, Tomlin was the Vikings defensive coordinator in like 2005 or 6, the year before he was hired.
So for like just 1 year
circle.
too, I think. So it was it was a very quick tenure.
Yeah, it was like 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
I just hope for Flores' sake that people aren't wasting his time. I just got done saying the experience with Bieniemy, but we're talking about somebody who's already been a former head coach. And now, well, Vic Fangio took a job down with the Miami Dolphins for their defensive coordinator job. Not one that Brian Flores was going to be in the running for, by the way, but just to say,
can you imagine the application process? Let bygones be bygones. Come on,
bury the hatchet, whatever. And
it's one lawsuit.
Yeah,
we've all had lawsuits.
This next time when we want to tank, just don't say anything, dude.
Yeah.
Just, Wink Martindale is getting some looks too after he got canned as being the defensive coordinator with the Ravens and then went over to the Giants, and the Giants' success all of a sudden springboarded a bunch of people. It's a copycat league. Like, I wanted to talk about maybe the Tomlin coaching tree, but we only got so much time in a day or on a show. We'll talk about that later because Tomlin, look, Brian Flores has already been through all this. So a lot of people will never ever give Mike Tomlin any credit for Brian Flores, nor should he get any credit for him. But they are sniffing around at different staffs, and when a team isn't doing so hot, or there's a guy like Keith Butler who is a lifer and he's not going anywhere, Dick LeBeau, Todd Haley, who was already and also ran as a head coach, if he wasn't moving, he's not going to move from being an offensive coordinator in one place to being an offensive coordinator in another place. That's where the difference is. Like, Flores is the linebackers coach. There was always speculation that Mike Munchak may have taken an interview to still be a head coach somewhere else. But Todd Haley was already a head coach and a failed head coach that came and been an offensive coordinator. And then, of course, when he got fired, he kind of ran his mouth out of the league, so to speak, especially with the Browns.
Yeah, because you think he'd get another shot somewhere if he wasn't such a head case. Todd Haley, I mean.
Yeah. But that's what I kind of mean. Like, you can't go saying Tomlin coaching tree. Randy Fichtner sucked. If you think Matt Canada sucks, are they going to sniff around at him? The whole reason he got promoted to OC is because teams were starting to already sniff around to hire him as their own OC when he was the Steelers quarterbacks coach a couple of years ago. So,
yeah, I remember, I'm not too old to remember a time when people were rather excited when the news broke that the Steelers were going to roll with Matt Canada after the Randy Fichtner days.
Yeah, all of 3 years old, and you would remember that. So, hey, I wanted to jump back to something real quick before we get to your old buddy, Aaron Rodgers. This is it's not a pretty exhaustive list because I started scrolling down some. This was the 2022 quarterback salary. So it's a little more complete because you got guys like Marcus Mariota on here at 4.2, Teddy Bridgewater 6.5, Jacoby Brissett 4.6. Mason, did I already say Mason Rudolph was in here? About 4 million. Jameis Winston about 4 million. Trubisky 3.6. So it's like it's still based on some of their cap hits or their earnings. Case Keenum 3.5. Geno Smith 3.5. Joe Flacco 3.4. That's what you're looking at. Andy Dalton 3 million. Those are the totals you're looking for a Mitch Trubisky contract. So, needless to say, if they're looking to hang on to the biscuit, Mitchell Trubisky, I don't know what else to call him. I guess that was like his nickname. I don't think it's a very cool nickname. I think it's kind of dumb too. But this is your guy from last year. We're going to go rounds with this now. Is it now time that Aaron Rodgers is seeing his way out of Green Bay? And you know damn well there's people that are still going to call. I am not a hail to Pitt guy whatsoever. You know what I mean? And I still call you Pitt homers or whatever because you like Kenny Pickett, you saw whatever progress, or you know how this thing works. But we know how it worked one time before in Green Bay when they moved on from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. I just don't want to hear anybody linking the Steelers. We know there was a man crush there, but you're not going to sit Kenny now for a year or two of Aaron Rodgers and take and we just saw the number. I had it up like $50 million a year hit on that contract unless the Packers are eating a significant portion of it, which I'm going to find out actually. But
yeah, I wouldn't even want that. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm beyond satisfied with the Steelers at the quarterback position. That should be obvious to most people by now. I don't have any inkling of interest towards Aaron Rodgers. I have no relations with that quarterback. I don't need him here. I honestly, since I wanted him last year, pre the Kenny Pickett days, PKP, pre Kenny Pickett, I didn't think he was like that bad off the field. I thought it was a little bit exaggerated. Like, I really did think maybe the media is a little hard on this guy, but he only made it worse on himself with every opportunity with the way he's been in Green Bay since signing that mega deal. So I don't really have any interest in him. I thought that was obvious, but I didn't even know there were people talking about that possibly bringing him in here. I get kind of ridiculous with it, Jalen Ramsey, which might not be so ridiculous after all. But Aaron Rodgers, no, pass. Thanks. We're good.
Oh.
We're on to Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, no, you're on to Jalen Ramsey after the Honey Badger stuff last year too.
There was facts behind the Honey Badger thing.
No, there was definitely smoke to that fire. I don't think there's any smoke to fire to Aaron Rodgers, but there's people. It just goes to show you there's people that still aren't pleased, no matter what. And they're the same way. Yeah, they're the same way, whether they're in Pittsburgh or in Green Bay or wherever else. And let's just throw this up there just to slam this door shut. Guess who's guaranteed 59 point, I'll say five, round up the math here. $59.5 million next year in 2023. Oh, that would be Aaron Rodgers at age 40 before his cap hits are 40.7, 59.3, and 53 and a half in
And
the
not
subsequent
really looking
3
that
years.
great as of late. You know, as an
No.
Aaron Rodgers guy, he's not looking that talented out there. You can tell he still has something in the tank, but I don't know if it's $50 million worth of something in the tank.
No, absolutely not. And while you brought it up, I've been meaning to talk about Jalen Ramsey. We should have put him on deck for today, too. His contract, by the way, so 28 years old. It's getting up there, but he's a veteran guy. He's probably got a good 3-4 years left in the league. That's what he's got left on his current contract is 3. And typically when these things occur, the Steelers would not have to owe him. They would be owing him what's basically the cap savings side because there's prorated bonus in this one column. So you're looking at base salary, prorated bonus. Now, roster bonus, they would owe him. The roster bonus does kick over to the new team. So let's say in 2024, the Steelers wouldn't be on the hook usually for this $8.2 million. And I say usually because these teams will come to some type of financial contract terms. They might rewrite things or do whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, the team has already paid this bonus, and this is just the accounting portion of the business. So Jalen Ramsey for 2023 would not save any money for the LA Rams. That's why I don't see them parting ways with them next year. They're going to have a dead cap of 24.6 and then 600,000. Although I was wrong about Matt Stafford. That Matt Stafford move was the same way. I thought the Matt Stafford move might have been a year early, and teams still, they just bit the bullet. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to give up something pretty good for Ramsey for $24.6 million to be eaten, along with 11.4 and 3.2, which would be in his salary in the subsequent years with the Steelers if he were the team, that were the team he ended up with. 2024 would be 15.3 and 2025 would be 19.5, and he would be 31 years of age, around the Joe Hayden area there. I don't know how
I'll
I feel
pay
about
that for
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. I'll pay that. I will fall on the sword and I'll pay that for Jalen Ramsey.
I mean, proven player. Sometimes I feel like he gives up, but he's not like Marcus Peters type of level of quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of good corners still get beat.
Yeah. But on the Steelers defense, holy smokes, dude. I just don't know. Can they put that much more? The scales of balance with where they're spending their money.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. They can you put that many more eggs on the defensive side of the basket? And then you still, we know they're going to need to make some moves at linebacker. You got to make a move at corner too. So they do it via trade, but then that's going to hit their cap. And by goodness, man, the people that are talking about the Steelers are up against the cap. Okay, we just talked about Mitch Trubisky, $8 million. William Jackson is at like 12. There's 20 right there. There's 2 guys. Boom.
Yeah.
Miles Jackson, another 8, but then you got to replace Miles Jack. Or you can't restructure Miles Jack, but you could extend Miles Jack and then spread the money out. So yeah, there's a couple of different avenues, and this is all just everything we've seen so far with how they only have like $1 million and something, and it's because they're talking about Tremaine Edmonds still, and I'm just like, Tremaine Edmonds is going to break the bank. I don't know. There's a new regime in there, but I just don't think, excuse me, with the way that Omar Khan is. I know it's not Omar. It wasn't Omar Khan's show before, but it was Omar Khan's show before. If you get what I mean, with Kevin Colbert, he was still the guy that was sitting there like, well, Kevin, we can't, this doesn't really fit into the budget. So he's the guy who's running the household budget still with the Steelers, and he'll be talking to Andy Weidel as far as that's where I think things get a little bit more interesting as far as free agents, trades, or especially the NFL draft. Is they did like a swap with Brandon Hunt leaving the scouting department, going over to the Eagles, and now you've got one of the Eagles guys that come over to the Steelers. So I'm really interested in seeing if he brings any of the Howie Roseman, almost kind of like draft day Moneyball type things coming around, because the Eagles, again, yeah, just just the sweet spot of how they hit on a lot of these different picks and whatnot too. So,
oh yeah, I'm a big Andy Weidel guy. At least right now, I'm excited that he's going to be a part of some decisions here with Omar Khan, because Omar Khan's a goated cap wizard. He's so good at just fitting so much money into a small space that it doesn't like screw the Steelers out. I don't know how he does it, but I think it's not just a Steeler fan thing. I think other fans take notice at how the Steelers are able to routinely do contracts and still get a lot of talent in here and not necessarily screw themselves going forward with the cap because Khan's so good at what he does. So you have that working with Weidl's hopeful aggressiveness. That's a great combination.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally with you. But about that time to remind everyone, the Steel City Underground podcast is brought to you in part by MANSCAPED. And MANSCAPED, we got breaking news, off-season news, well, almost off-season news here. MANSCAPED now sells beard products. That's right. They're once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code SteelCity20 for 20% off and free shipping. And by all means, I know we don't have a whole lot of ladies that are here on the show, but listening in. But if you need to get a gift for your man, we still got the performance package, which is pictured here. Or you might want to be a little bit more intimate there if you got your man manscaping. So check out manscaped.com with the promo code SteelCity20. That's 20% off, free shipping. That's worldwide, by the way. And there's a lot of different stuff now that comes with the beard. The Beard Hedger. I don't want to call it beard trimmer. This thing's got it, but like a lot of nice settings on it. The little clicky thing. It's rechargeable. I was just using it the other day.
Very user friendly.
Yeah, I usually trim a little shorter. I got some of the grays on here, so I've been trimming a little shorter. I might be plugging just for men here soon too. But I mean,
you still look like a 90s relief pitcher with the goatee chin.
You know what? I used to have the goat back in college, and I looked nothing the same. It's
quite the difference.
You know, I got a photo album from my dad who passed away a couple months ago. And I was back in the hometown, and I was going through some pictures last night, and it's a little somber or whatever when you're looking through this stuff. But there is a high school photo that I've never seen of him. He had hair like down to his shoulders, man. I was like, what?
Right on, man. That guy knows what he wants.
He didn't have that hair probably for very long because genetically that's what I inherited, and that's why I am follically challenged. I mean, I'm not blessed with the thick rooted Italian genes of you, my friend. It's I don't know if it's a Polish thing. I got a lot of Eastern
It's a blessing
European
and a curse, I'll say.
Yeah, I hear you. But no, that kind of surprised me because I had much longer hair too at one point, and it was just like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? So you could see yourself sometimes in your parents or vice versa. A lot of people say that too when they see my daughter. So
For sure.
The old man might have liked Manscaped back in the day there if that would have been available for him. So, you don't have to deal with those clunky disposable razors and stuff. You could limit your nicks and everything like that. You got it all covered from head to toe. Check out manscaped.com, promo code SteelCity20. And let's see here. Where did I leave off? I know we've got some other football, so maybe actual current events to maybe discuss besides Aaron Rodgers, who, quite frankly, I'm shocked made it to the show again. Let's talk about one of the two title games that occurred on Sunday, the NFC Championship game, Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. And I wasn't very surprised, like I was saying a little bit ago. I don't know if now I'm crisscrossed if I said that off the air or I said it here on air. So sorry if I'm a broken record, but I thought the Eagles would handle the 49ers. I thought Brock Purdy would get pressured and they would struggle. It would have to be the Niners defense, who did do their job for quite a bit of that game, but they also made critical errors, some penalties and mistakes. But when it comes down to Josh Johnson,
nailed it.
Dude,
you're right.
I know I'm right. But here's the thing. How many teams has he played for? We already knew this. Me and my buddy, I talk to almost every day. He lives up in Connecticut. He's a Denver Broncos fan. And I believe he was on the Broncos roster at one point this season, actually.
He definitely was at some point.
Yeah. And he's just, we talk about him. We use the word the cockroach for guys you can't get rid of sometimes. He truly is the cockroach. And he's he's going to go from this appearance. He's probably going to end up in the USFL or XFL in the next couple of weeks when that debuts. It would not surprise me at all. He's probably I don't know if he's playing in the USFL. He was in the previous.
Such
XFL.
a great story. Such a great story.
Yeah.
Not a great quarterback, but such a great story.
Well, it's one of those. Can you blame him though? How are you supposed to jump on board? Now he's been around with Shanahan or whatever for eons or whatever, so he might be able to pick up some of the offense like that just through osmosis, or know some of the system, or terminology is going to be the same or whatever. But he's put in pretty much an impossible situation. Of course, I bring up his name. It's like, Josh Johnson. Just at least it's him. But come on, give me his Wikipedia entry so I can see.
He's on like 11 or 12 NFL teams, like 14 total if you count the semi-league teams that he was on, like XFL and all that, because he was in like anything that involved football.
Yeah. Oh, I've got it. He's like Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Who was like on about 13 teams. Yeah. Oh, it might be. What the thing? Hey, age 36, he's still got something going here. Hey, he's getting paid. I can't blame him. I got nothing you know what? I know it sounds like I might be dumping or making fun of the guy. I have nothing but respect that he is willing to pack his bags and move all over the whole place. Since 2011, he had a few years with Tampa Bay where he was settled in, 2008 to 2011. And you just look at, let's see here. Tampa Bay.
He's an awesome Madden quarterback, I'll say that, because he's so fast.
Yeah. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Sacramento Mountain Lions. Now, this one, I'm not exactly sure. What was this pro football team? Oh, this was the UFL, which was another failed league. That one barely. The UFL got like no coverage, but I'm trying to think who was still there. Was Dennis Smith still kicking around and they had one of those teams? There was like, we only had like 4 teams. But anyways, I digress. If I have that wrong, I sincerely apologize to the late coach there. But the Mountain Lions, Cleveland Browns. So he's also on that list of the jersey with the names that just keep going down to the floor. The Bengals, back to the 49ers, back to the Bengals, the Jets, the Colts, the Bills, the Ravens, the Giants, the Texans, the Oakland Raiders, and the Washington Redskins. 2 teams. One is moved. One is no longer named the same. So he's a part of like pro football history there. He's like one of these guys you bring in and have the World War II veteran cap that you have come to school, bring grandpa or whoever to school, and they can tell you stories about the NFL and who played back then. He might play till he's 45 like Tom Brady, to be completely honest. And you go, who'd I leave off with? Okay, San Diego Fleet. That was Alliance of American Football. Detroit Lions.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cam Kelly, Stan. Remember? I think he was on the same roster.
I remember, man. Those are some of the best days of my life watching the Alliance of American Football.
Same roster, I believe. I think they were both on the Fleet, actually, if I were to look that up. Detroit Lions, practice squad. Los Angeles Wildcats of the XFL. And then the 49ers, Jets, Ravens, the Broncos, ding, ding, ding. We win the lightning round there. And then I think with the 49ers, he had more than one stint. And it's funny because if you keep scrolling down his entry, that's like professional career. And then all of a sudden it's just like 2011 alone. It's like Niners, Mountain Lions, Browns, Bengals, Niners second time, Bengals second time. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Excuse me.
He's
I still
like the
got
common
that.
cold.
Oh, I've had that dry cough. You said too. And I'm trying to get through this. Even guys on TV and radio. There was one of the guys this morning, whoever was with Charlie, I think it's Bob Papo's with Charlie Weiss, that I usually listen to first thing, and he was apologizing the same. I'm like, that's going to be me in a little bit. I'm going to start losing my voice as we get later in the show. But yeah, Josh Johnson. So anyways, Eagles and Niners. When you got Christian McCaffrey throwing a pass, I mean, there's a lot of discussion about with the emergency quarterback thing, if they should be able to roster a third or have the third quarterback active, the actives inactives list, and how all of that stuff works. And it seems kind of preposterous. You could only have like one backup and everything else like in there. And I wonder how much this is going to change a lot of minds on how some of that works. I don't know that it can a whole lot. What else was there to go to besides Josh Johnson? You know what I mean? This team was pretty thin at the quarterback position already. I mean, it's a little bittersweet for the Niners. You see Kyle Shanahan, once again, through no fault of his own, is once again out of the postseason. Before it had been Jimmy G or somebody, but it's been largely injuries. And I don't know, you never hear anybody call for Kyle Shanahan's head, because I think they understand that, not in the same way, like, oh, winning seasons, participation trophies. Oh, they won a playoff game, but where's the ring? You know what I mean? They
100%.
yeah,
100%, man. They got pretty screwed. I thought for a minute we were going to see like Trent Williams taking snaps at quarterback, which would have been awesome. If they went through McCaffrey and then Kyle Juszczyk was trying to go through the playbook I saw on the sideline for a minute, they highlighted that. They were really, really screwed. And I mean, I can't really blame any of the players for that. Like, it's a shame seeing guys like George Kittle and again Trent Williams try so hard, and really you could see they wanted it. But when you're working with your fourth, fifth, and sixth string quarterback, man, you have no chance. And like you, I bet on the Eagles in the over. Over didn't hit, but I had the Eagles pegged. I had them pegged all week. I thought that the Eagles and the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl, barring a Mahomes uninjured performance, which is essentially what it looked like what we got. So with Mahomes being healthy, that changed everything in that game. But I did think Eagles and Niners, regardless of the Niners getting screwed injury wise, I thought the Eagles were going to win that game. I thought they had the best team left of the four in the playoffs, from the roster structure top to bottom. I like their offensive strategies and the way they attack down the field and the way they utilize Jalen Hurts' strengths and run him just enough that it's a weapon that keeps the defense honest, but at the same time, you still got him slinging it like 30 times a game. And the defense is always humming. I love the energy and the swag that the defense plays with on the Eagles. And I can see why. I mean, this isn't anything new. The Eagles fan base has always been passionate, but I can see why this year has been so extremely fun for them. And like, you're seeing more and more videos come out because this defense plays with an energy and a nastiness to them, and they're so like they have so much depth, which is like such a underrated thing in the NFL. That if you can have impact players at all three levels, and not only at all three levels, but numerous guys at each of those levels, that is just a great defense through and through. And Javon Hargrave, like guys like that, Sue, my boy, Fletcher Cox, and then the secondary has a lot of playmakers in it. You saw the impact. They lost Gardner Johnson for a good part of the season with his, I think it was his back or his kidneys. He had a really serious problem going on, but he was all over the field yesterday. So they're the healthiest team left, and they're the most talented team left. Or they were with these four teams that were left. Now, between them and the Chiefs, I still feel that the Eagles are probably the better roster. But I think it'll be a great game.
I think the Chiefs are they're limping in.
Yeah, exactly.
At the finish line, they're lucky to get an extra week off. This is the way that the Eagles have always kind of, their mentality, especially up front, is, they still had Robert Quinn on this roster. They added Sue to it. They drafted Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham. Those guys are all considered
Hassan Reddick, who was
backups.
a Steelers target, and a lot of Steeler fans wanted Hassan Reddick. He wasn't that great with the Cardinals nor the Panthers. He was pretty solid with the Panthers, but he has been a dominant force for the Eagles. Probably because he's finally wearing number 7 again since his Temple days. He's got his cool jersey number back, so he's playing to his utmost potential.
He was played way too much out of position in Arizona, and then they finally decided he just kept asking to be a pass rusher. From all the indications they were trying to do, it was kind of the opposite of like what happened with Ryan Shazier. A lot of people were like, "Oh, how's Shazier going to move and play in the inside? Is he going to be an inside linebacker from the going from college to pros?" And that transition was just fine. Reddick was misidentified, and I think people were still looking at him to maybe be an inside linebacker, even if the Steelers would have drafted him, which is pretty interesting because then he would have just ended up being like a menace coming off the edge and getting after quarterbacks. And yeah, Javon Hargrave, they've got some guys that they've signed over the years. When you have a rookie quarterback contract, you can go out and get somebody like Hassan Reddick. And it's funny because Reddick
and Gardner Johnson,
13th overall pick in 2017. That's that TJ Watt year. So he didn't quite just fall down into the Steelers into their lap. That's funny you mentioned that too, because for some reason I started thinking of Reuben Foster at the same time and how he's trying to make a comeback in one of these leagues too, USFL or XFL. But Linval Joseph was added to this, and I don't think, I'm trying to think when Joseph was actually added. I know Sue was added late. These guys were added late. You
They
still have
were
Josh
added like
Sweat.
the same week. I remember because they did it
Yeah.
really close together. They were like in the same tweets from Rappaport and Schefter.
Yeah, and it benefits them because they get banged up or inexperienced with the younger guys or whatever may be the case. Some older players, Fletcher Cox, but yeah, they could sub them out like a hockey line, and that would be
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, it's not normal the amount of depth they have on the defensive line at the talent they have. Everybody's got depth to a certain degree, but they have like guys that would be starting on a lot of teams who aren't even announced as the starter on game day.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that secondary, CJ Gardner-Johnson that they traded for, they've had Darius Slay they traded 4 years ago, James Bradbury, interdivision pickup. So they're loaded. And that's where it goes hand in hand. That's why it bothers me when people are like, oh, the Steelers absolutely have to draft a corner. And of course it's Joey Porter Jr. in every single mock draft. And there might be smoke to that fire. And I would not be upset with that pick. I'm not going to make it sound like that. I think Porter at this time, my thinking would be if he could be like a Marlon Humphrey type player that's there for 10 years and a fixture, that's the guy you want to land in the first round. So be it. Bring him on a cheap rookie deal too, because they're going to need some of that to balance out the contracts between offense and defense we were talking about. And that'll help. That helps the pass rush when you don't have TJ Watt there and you've got only like Malik Reed, but then you're playing with Josh Jackson, who I was thinking about earlier, or why can't I think of his name now? Was it Quincy Jones?
Wilson.
Quincy Wilson. Quincy Jones is music producer, right? And yeah. And I'm like, dude, hasn't taken a snap in forever, or you're playing with James Pierre or whatever. That doesn't help the pass rush. They go hand in hand. And you hear about the term, you would throw this term out a lot, coverage sack. It's like, yeah. So when you got good coverage, and it allows the time for the guys to get there, or it's vice versa, the guys can't get there and they leave guys like Levi Wallace just hanging by a thread. So it's a little hand in hand. That's why the Steelers defense improved a lot better over the course of the season, as they got healthy. And a lot of this is who is the healthiest team. Unfortunately, I think that was finally starting to fall apart. Both of these teams in the AFC Championship, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals, or as I call them, the Bungles. I'm all here for everything that just happened last night, man. You got the Cincinnati mayor running around being a jag, asking for paternity tests.
And a jag or a jabroni, as Travis Kelce dubbed them. As an Italian, I loved hearing that. I love jabroni. You don't get those too often, a good old jabroni.
Yeah, that was great. That's like coming straight from The Rock, or the Iron Sheik calls people jabroni. That's what Kyle Brandt was saying earlier. He called it the jabroni mafia, with adding Iron Sheik, Dwayne Johnson, and then Travis Kelce. But I absolutely love that. They're interviewing Patrick Mahomes, and Kelce just butts in and he goes, "Oh, it isn't Burrowhead anymore, or is it? What did he say? Asshole or something?"
Burrowhead my ass.
Burrowhead my ass. Yeah.
My ass always plays. If you say anything, my ass, that always plays no matter what, especially if it's a celebratory time.
Oh, that was great. And then Mahomes started throwing a little bit of shade on top of that too, where he was like, I don't know if we have any cigars in the locker room to smoke, because those guys probably did, and they're just sitting there all stale now.
That's what happens when you talk the talk, but you can't walk the walk. And the Bengals, they had every right to spark the fire. I think they had every right to try to get their own troops riled up. They're in the championship game.
Yeah.
But when you don't win, this is what happens. This is the comeback. You got to take this on the chin, because you build it up to this point where you were certain that you were going to win. You had the mayor of Cincinnati doing a video about Pat Mahomes. So this is what you get for losing.
Yeah, I mean, take that L and hang it around your neck, wear it with some pride. And I feel bad to a certain extent. Like, my neighbor is a lifelong Bengals fan, but it's kind of funny. Like, the tears are really salty today. And I make a lot of jokes because there's a lot of folks that I know have absolutely zero interest in the Bengals, or didn't, and they're either jumping bandwagons or whatever, pulling out old jerseys like a Hushmanzada or something like that they haven't worn in 20 years. It's like the answer they find when the Steelers aren't doing well, and all of a sudden you see like people coming into the game and they're wearing like an old starter jersey. It's like, where did you find this Cordell Stewart jersey from? I was just like, do you have an extra jersey laying around? I'm not talking about like your hip retro type thing where you find like that cool Apex coat or whatever that you had and end up on TV. Lucky bastard. But anyways, yeah, it's nothing like that.
I have an A-Train jersey, Mike Allstott. So I have like a couple rando ones like that. I nothing too crazy though. I used to have a Michael Vick one when he was on the Eagles and a Calvin Johnson one when he was on the Lions. I had those when I was like in high school though, and I have no idea where they are now. In fact, I think I sold the Michael Vick jersey for like beer money the one time, honestly. So I really don't have a good grip on where those are, but I still have the A-Train jersey, and I think that's it as far as like random football ones go. Otherwise, it's all Steelers.
Yeah, I've only had a couple. I'm almost all Steelers. I had one.
If T. Higgins goes anywhere, I'm gonna get a T. Higgins jersey though, because I've been a T. Higgins guy, and he owed me money. He owed me money yesterday. I had T. Higgins anytime touchdown scorer, so I was psyched. Low key, not a Bengals guy, but I was psyched when he scored, and the Chiefs won. Who I had the Chiefs to win. First quarter money line and overall winner of the game. So I got like the perfect of both worlds there. I got T. Higgins scoring a touchdown, making me money. And then I got the Chiefs winning so that I don't have to deal with Bengals fans or people putting Joe Burrow in my face. That's why I don't feel bad for Bengals fans at all, because you guys got Joe Burrow. You got the whole receiving core for another year or so. You got pieces on defense. Like, they're a good team. So I don't feel bad for them. It isn't like it was this or bust. They got far enough with the karma that they got back from years and years of suffering, I guess.
Well, that's part of the reason why I don't feel dumping on them, but they just got so cocky, and then all of a sudden it was like you're hearing from, where are you at in the playoffs? Like, all of a sudden they think they're like the Steelers rivals. It's like, get out of here. You know what I mean? Most of Ohio is still Cleveland Browns territory, because the Bengals were still a newer team. That's your grandfather's football team. So people really did not care about the Bengals, like even going out almost into Cincinnati. They couldn't find people to even go to some of these games. The stands were empty unless it was like the Steelers or the Cowboys or the Packers that were coming to town. So I get it. You probably have Steelers bandwagon fans that talk so much smack over the years, and that's why they get mad and they want Matt Canada fired, because they can't talk the same smack. Don't worry, the Steelers are getting theirs. Kenny Pickett's under a rookie deal. That's how the Bengals assembled this roster. He went out. The thing that makes me sick is actually Mike Hilton. And that COVID year, I think if it wasn't for the COVID year, the Steelers tried to sign him. There's like this myth out there of, well, they never tried to bring back Mike Hilton. He just there was a certain dollar he had in his mind, and that was a certain dollar they had in their mind in order to fit within that budget. And it's not like they could have kept Bud Dupree.
Yeah, people like that are so annoying, because they don't ever want to, all they want to do is bitch about the result. They don't want to ever remember or mention the fact that it is like they didn't pay or sign anybody that year. They couldn't afford to keep Mike Hilton. So it wasn't a matter of, oh, they should have kept him, they let him go. They didn't have the funds. It isn't always in the cards to keep a guy who's good. They obviously wanted to keep him. That's why they kept him on the hook like year after year. I thought he was going to stay, honestly. The fact that he had agreed to play consecutive years making like not the greatest money while he was playing well on the field, I thought it meant that he saw a long-term there with the Steelers, but it's almost like he played too good and other teams took notice of it, especially a division rival, because he always played well in the big time games for the Steelers. So I hate when people are bitching about that on Twitter, like, oh, they should have kept this guy or this guy. It's easy to do that. It's not easy to remember the names of the guys that they decided to keep instead.
Yeah, I tend to think that Hilton was better maybe against the run. He was definitely a good blitzing DB. He had his moments in coverage, both good and bad. I don't have like a whole lot of ill things to say. Like, people are going to say stuff about Juju now. Oh, Juju's playing in the Super Bowl. Javon Hargrave's playing in the Super Bowl. Javon, another guy they couldn't afford to keep, and he got to play a little bit more and got that recognition due to injuries as well.
I'm psyched for the both of them. I don't know who I'm going to root for. I might wear a Juju jersey and bet on the Eagles.
I just put like my Juju jerseys away. I have two of them. I just like literally they're down the hall or whatever. I just put them away.
You make it sound like you put them in storage in like Alaska.
Oh, geez, yeah, but they're in a deep freeze. I don't feel like taking them out now. You know what I mean? It's just,
They're in hibernation.
at least I got my Christmas stuff down before I put the jerseys away. There's some folks that are still rolling around town with their Christmas lights up and stuff. It's like, okay, I'm a guy that goes through the Orthodox Christmas weekend, which is about another week after, New Year's, and then my stuff comes down. But okay, we're almost in February, folks. Let's do this. But back to the Bengals. Just there was so much smack talk that I don't mind if there's a little bit of salty tears and guys are on the bench. I feel bad for Asai, not only hitting definitely a late hit on Mahomes. These teams both, he buckled his knee going into the damn bench, trying to pull on the brakes, and the way his feet slipped, and that sucked, and that just made me sick because I blew out my knee in a very similar type thing playing basketball in high school. So I looked there and I cringed, and I hope there wasn't anything seriously wrong with him, because I know that will probably put him out through camp and stuff like that. But for the rest of the Bengals, like Eli Apple's mom, one of the biggest like shit talkers out there, had deleted her Instagram or whatever, or her Twitter, or both. She's off of social media right now.
Eli Apple himself, he's just like, you can't stand him on Twitter.
Yeah, she's gone. She couldn't take the heat. And it's like, you shouldn't have been out there like just throwing softballs for people to hit. They're coming for you. The people are taking receipts, They're getting their receipts. They're ready. So
the internet's dog eat dog.
Yeah, I'm here for it though. And next year, yeah, the Bengals are still going to be a pain in the ass. I don't know that the Steelers just completely like leapfrog them or anything like that. The Ravens, it all depends on a whole lot of things. I look around the rest of the AFC North, and they're talking already about like extending or whatever with Burrow. He's entering year 4 of his contract, right? It'll be then probably a 5th-year option decision will be made this offseason. And then, yeah, I know you're doing the math there too. I think it was only, let's see, make sure I got this right.
Yeah, because his first year he got hurt. Second year Super Bowl, third year championship game, right?
Yeah, you got me second guessing it now. How dare you?
Because I feel like that's a good start, dude. Damn.
I know. But you're able to put the pieces around him because of that rookie deal. We already talked about T. Higgins. T. Higgins still under a rookie deal for 1 more year. He's going to get paid. How sick was that catch? And the same one Jamar Chase made on like 4th and 6. They went downfield. Like, both of these teams were trying to give this game away. There were times.
They got 2 number 1s with T. Higgins and Chase, and Tyler Boyd's a number 2 playing number 3. So yeah, their top 3 is gnarly. I'm very jealous of them, and it kind of sucks because the Steelers, like, we're known for being the team that can draft good receivers, right? Like, everybody knows that joke. But the Bengals are freaking loaded with their top 3.
Yeah, but excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Jamar Chase was what, 5th or 6th overall pick?
5th, I believe.
I want to talk about this in a future episode in more depth. Andy Dalton gets hurt, and then you sit his ass on the bench, even when he's back, so you could tank to get Joe Burrow, basically. So just because you had a terrible season and you happen to get the best quarterback available with the top pick that was available, that doesn't mean you drafted well. I hate how people say, look at how this team rebounded. Joe Burrow got hurt his rookie year. That's the reason they got Jamar Chase. They're never sniffing Jamar Chase if Joe Burrow never gets hurt. So they had a couple of things that happened, and they had to eat crow for a little bit in order to be
the ball bouncer away. For sure.
In order to be in this type of situation. So that really pisses me off hearing that sort of narrative. And then when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, guys that are going to be making multi-million dollars here in the next 3-4 years, playing under rookie contracts. They're not even, I don't even know if these guys are top 10. I'm going to see if I'm blowing it out of what when it comes to this. Are they even top 10 salaries on their own team right now? Let's find out. DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, Joe Mixon. This would be for 2023, so this isn't entirely accurate. Jonah Williams. Okay, Burrow's in here. Top overall pick. He's got 11.5 cap hit. BJ Hill, Tyler Boyd, Sam Hubbard, Lyle Collins, and Alex Kappa. Oh, look, the free agents that they signed last year. And then Jamar Chase, and then Chidobe Awuzie, and Mike Hilton, and Ted Karras, and then T. Higgins, Logan Wilson. There's no way in hell that all of these guys stay on this team. They laugh at me, the Bengals fans do. They'll retain some of this core. They're going to have to draft well and then start making the same type of shrewd moves that everybody else has to make in order to stay competitive, because you're talking about now, you're no longer even just in the Dak Prescott $40 million a year territory. You're heading north into the guaranteed contracts of Deshaun Watson and the $50 million a year Aaron Rodgers type of territory, especially with a guy that's been in 2 AFC championships in his first 3 years in the league, first 2 full seasons in the league. Joe Burrow, absolutely legit. I know some people try to say that maybe he wouldn't be as good if he didn't have all those guys. He still puts the ball there and they make the plays. So can he be like
I say again, all I said was the receiving core is sick.
Oh, I know.
It's certified. Like, I don't care how much money they make. I don't care when they were picked. They're 3 starters and 2 number 1s and a number 2.
But it's
so they
still
got the
legitimate.
best receiving core in the league. Like, it's pretty unanimous. And I can't wait till they lose them. That'll be awesome. But that's all I was saying was their receiving core is freaking good.
Well, it's good because the Bengals had 2 bad records. So T. Higgins was a 33 overall. That's what the Steelers are looking down the barrel of right now with their pick from the Bears coming up in this draft. So
they're still good.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not giving them credit for like rebuilding the whole team. I'm just saying the receivers are good.
No,
I don't care about when they got them.
We're in agreement, but I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about like hearing Tony Romo giggle like a little girl all the time during the broadcast. Oh, he was all over Mahomes. Like, it was just like, can you 2 go on a date? He was bringing up all these obscure NBA references, the Magic Johnson, and like, I don't even know. I'm trying to think who else he brought up. Clyde Drexler. He brought up Clyde Drexler, and
I think he's hearing the noise and people getting like tired of him, so he's like reaching now and trying extra hard, which is like the last thing he should do per the critiques.
But no, that's what I mean though, is like they've got guys that are going to be legit top earners at their positions here, and they're not going to be able to retain them all. And they happen to be lucky to have them all on the field at the same time, along with being able to fill in with some high quality free agents. This is the window of opportunity for them. That window is still open for next year as well. And then after, it's going to get tricky. And they've been a little shrewd with what they did this year and some of their carryover cap and stuff. So they're starting to build up some money, a little nest egg to be able to pay Burrow. I think they've got about, according to Over the Cap, they've got 43 about plus million under the cap right now. I don't know how many players I didn't read here. 41 under contract, but that's not all necessarily starters. Like a guy like, I don't know, Cam Sample, for example, or Cordell Volson or something, Trey Hill, backup center and guard, Trent Irwin. So maybe some role players or stuff like that. But I think in Cincinnati fashion, it was, I like the guys that are like, who they think gonna beat them Bengals. I like, they shot themselves in their foot. Like, I'm just, that one drives me crazy. The Let's Go Buffalo one drives me crazy. And when people try and needle me about the Steelers, oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, are you going to throw the 6, they won 6 Super Bowls. Yeah. I got it right here on the wall. 6-time Super Bowl champs, Yeah, I am going to throw that at you. How many Super Bowls have the Bengals won? 0. 0 for 3, in fact. So
Patriots fans do it, and like if they could do it, if you could do it, you would too. To the fan bases that don't have 6, it's easy to throw stones and be like, oh, that's all you ever talk about. It's because you would too.
Exactly. I know. It's like, what have you done for me lately? But still, it's like Baltimore can still have some bragging rights in the AFC North. The Steelers can as well, and then the Browns, they pick up like NFL championships and some other obscure league that hasn't existed for 70 years or something like that, and try and tell everyone how they won championships when all the men were off the war and in a 6-team league or whatever. So I'm surprised
they
Cleveland
let black people play back then.
Yeah, I know. And then I'm surprised they haven't like claimed the Rams, who were established in Cleveland as well. Anything that they try and do in order to maintain some sort of relevancy. I think the Browns will be a fun case study as well with Watson in that contract. But our last kind of thing is, I still wanted to go with the Bengals tiers, because all I'm hearing this morning, or all I'm seeing throughout the afternoon, and even from some other friends, is people whining, crying, bitching, and complaining about officiating. And to some degree, for example, the Eagles game with Devontae Smith and that catch and everybody in the world could see on the replay it's not a catch, and they call it. And even Andy Reid having to use his challenges early, the reach out for the third down. That some of the things, yes. Some of the things, no. Instant replay seems to still be broken. What is a catch still seems to be broken, and the entire thing with Burrowhead, Arrowhead, whatever you want to call it, and that side judge running out there like, hey, everybody stop, like trying to stop an airplane that's already taken off, and they run the whole play, and then they get a mulligan essentially and get the play the down over. Was very bizarre, and it doesn't look well on the NFL, but that actually didn't end up affecting anything. And if the Bengals can do more than 24 yards of offense or whatever in the first quarter, a couple of picks, not being able to run the football. Chiefs had their own problems too. They were far from perfect with some of their penalties and whatnot, getting into the receiver. That third down play where, is it Cook, their one safety, got there early. I think he hit maybe Hayden Hurst or somebody early. Might have been T. Higgins again. But the NFL,
yeah, I think it was Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, but in general, there's enough plays. Zach Taylor, I'll give him credit for saying this. He said there were more than enough plays other than what happened at the end that affected this outcome. We left plays on the field. And I can admire that a hell of a lot more than some of the people that just want to cry about officiating. We've done it. Excuse me. We've certainly done it. I'm not immune to it. But I think there was a big difference between Jesse caught it and shoving a guy out of bounds at the end of the game when putting him in field goal range that could win the whole thing.
Yeah, it was clearly a penalty. Mahomes had 2 feet out of bounds. So I feel for the guy too for shoving him though, because the whole city is going to come down on the guy, and he might have gotten hurt too. But I can see why he was crying at the end. Because it's a serious moment. It's a huge moment. Might be the biggest moment of his career, and that it was a penalty. Other calls throughout the game were questionable. It was a sloppy performance from the refs. It was definitely a tough look. I always hate when I'm watching a game, especially as the games dwindle away from us and we're holding on with 2 hands. I hate when the refs control the game so much that they're this much of a talking point the next day. We're not tuning in to watch you guys, man. Like let some of the stuff go. Let some of it go. Get your shit tighter too. There's no higher stage than this. You're in the pinnacle. You're in the National Football League during Championship Sunday. Like the only way up from here is the Super Bowl itself. So it can't be this bad when leaving the next day. Shows like ours are sitting here and we've talked about this because like it was that bad on this moment in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's a lot of people who talk about you need to have full-time referees. And yeah. I could speak from experience of being in a pro referee union of how that might work or how it might not work. And there's a lot that changes with that. And when you have your, the NFL does have a union. So that's one thing. When you're working with full-time referees and you've gone, so a lot of the guys, they say, okay, like they're attorneys or lawyers or something like that. So they're able to travel or take time off more freely to be able to give to this profession. It doesn't mean they treat it any lesser because it's, quote, part-time. You think they're human, just like me and you. They're going to go to McDonald's on a Tuesday or something and get something to eat and not think about football whatsoever. Just like the players play video games or do TikToks in their spare time. I think that's a little preposterous. Where it does help is where you have somebody that doesn't have that freedom. Teachers have the whole summer off or whatever, and you have this extra PTO that you could take to be a referee. And you got to be able to do it in college. So you got to be able to work Saturdays, or if you're the MAC, Tuesday or whatever goofy day that they play on. Just in order to move your way up into these ranks, they just don't come from anywhere. You've got to be experienced, and you probably have to have people that evaluate you, and then you get hired, and then you work all your way up until you're the guy with the white cap, and you got the microphone and the the whistles in your hand, and it's not just him; it's the entire crew though. And you got to work together, and it's good that they work as teams, because if they didn't, That's where the Super Bowl, where it usually gets goofed up, where they make it like an all-star type crew. And then these guys haven't worked together, so you don't know who you're used to. Oh, well, you know what? Zach and I have worked together on a crew. We've done 100 games together, and I know if that guy shoved that guy in the back and it should be a flag, he's got my back and he's going to call it because we've done this 100 times together. Where the other people, hey, how are you doing? I've never met you before. Isn't it cool that we're here? Like, it's tough. And if you make people full-time, can it solve some problems? It might open up some availability for others, but now the guys that have spent 8 years of education becoming a lawyer, they're going to look and say, well, if I sign full-time here and you don't have your own practice, let's just say you're working for another firm or whatever, and you're going to leave that, or you leave your teacher and you're going to leave that for perhaps 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in the NFL, and then it's all over. You have like a bad performance, your crew has a bad performance, you get dinged. You know, it's a funny thing. So there's a base salary attached to that too, and then you would have your game fees, which should be significant enough. But in some professions, you know, we're talking lawyers and attorneys, man, maybe a doctor. These people are not going to leave those type of high dollar professions. So on the other side, you're going to lose some folks too that would be qualified. I don't think there's a perfect answer for. I think the only answer for it is why do we still drag the chain gang out there? Like, get some technology, put some cameras on the boundaries, and quit being so asinine and hesitant to use technology to aid what will and can be human error. I have no problem that the referees make mistakes. I have more of a problem that the league doesn't try to correct those mistakes in real time. They got the bug in their ear now, the Surface tablet. They've sped these things up. Like, it almost seems like in some cases the perception is they're picking the winners and losers, and that's never fun, especially now that you've got all of this money. All these states are legalizing it. Ohio just did it. Pennsylvania's been for a while with the sports gambling, with Vegas odds and everything like that. Tends to make you think there isn't something on the up and up when the games are a certain close, or, oh, hey, the over-under was this and it was this close to this, or the line was this and it was this close to this. It really does make you question some of it and why they just won't go to the full technology. I've talked about it a billion times, so I was blue in the face. Tennis has like the high-res cameras right down the boundary. You know where the ball hits. I mean, you watch golf. The Masters is going to be on in a couple of months, and they know exactly how many yards the ball has fallen and everything like that. Use the technology to help the referees. The referees are just as human as the players and coaches on the field, who can and will also make mistakes. And, you know, they're talking about why doesn't Kyle Shanahan challenge that catch? Because, excuse me, he's got about 30-some seconds on the play clock, 25, all depending. And he's trying to get his play in. The radio cuts out on the quarterback at about 15 on the play clock, and he's trying to get everything together for the next play. And you're going to miss that if you're not paying attention if you're paying attention to what's going to be on the scoreboard, which they're not going to show that in Philadelphia either. When you're
I don't think
road.
Anybody showed Shanahan the angle of the ball hitting the ground until it was too late.
Yeah, but there's too much going on. So they've got to figure something else out. I thought that they were doing like this sky judge thing that the XFL was doing, or they were considering it, but it doesn't seem like there's anybody there to help assist in. The only thing that happens is sometimes, not in the case of the Kansas City thing that took forever to figure out what the hell was going on. I mean, the offense and defense were off the field already. You know what I mean? Like, that took forever. So you can't even say it's speeding up stuff, but they've got to figure something out. There's just something that's wrong, and you've got, 8 officials that are trying to watch 22 players, plus however many else, with the benches and players coming on and off the field and dealing with coaches and everything like that. It could be chaotic. You're in a loud-ass stadium like Arrowhead. I don't know. I guess I'm just spitballing, but you expect when you're watching this product, what has become one of the most popular television events that's on every Sunday. Super Bowl will be huge and everything like that. You don't expect to be sitting here talking about this. Charlie Weiss just said the same thing, I think, that you just did. And he was saying something like, I think the referees sometimes just want to see themselves on TV. And I joke because no referee wants to see themselves. It's like when we're talking about offensive or defensive linemen and corners, the only time you're talking about them is when they do their job wrong. And referees are aware of that as well. they don't want to be seen as having done their job wrong. They don't necessarily want to be on TV, but they have that spotlight on there. And that's how you lose guys like Gene Steratore and Dean Blandino. And these guys end up, well, Tony Corrente, that's fine with me. You don't need him to be out there because he was terrible, but they're sick of taking the heat where everybody has a smartphone and social media and everything like that. And then they're slowly walking away. So you're losing some of the veteran leadership. They need to do something a little bit better, but every sport that has this instant replay, they don't have it perfect either. VAR in soccer, World Cup, still controversial. Everything that's in real time. I don't think we'll ever have a 100% great answer, Zach, but they definitely need to, I just think they need to aid it with at least technology.
Yeah. The NFL definitely got to make some adjustments for sure. They get in their own way more often than not.
Sorry, I had to chomp down on a cough drop here. Like I said, I was getting that dry cough. I think that'll do it for us just because I can't talk anymore.
Yeah.
But thanks, man. Thanks for coming on here. I have my little rant with the officiating thing. The referees, they're a third team that's out there. You know what I mean? So sometimes I feel sympathetic for them, but I blast and criticize them just as much too. I'm usually a little more careful than some folks with some of the ugly stuff they say. But if you want to rip on the Bengals, go right ahead. They're a fair and open game. So,
yeah, comment below, please.
Yes. We'll get somebody that says something because it says celebrating a Bengals loss. So there's going to be some troll that jumps in here, and they won't stick around this late in the show. So thank you, 2%ers. We've only had one of these a week for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to try and increase them. It just all depends because when we put in a little bit of extra time and cram everything into one, we're in the off season now too. We could use a little bit of a breather and not be burned out. So, but we appreciate
some news. We need stuff to happen. I can't wait for free agency and draft talk and stuff like that, and any kind of news. That's when you want to listen to podcasts and listen to shows. So yeah, right now there's still some football on, thank God. But it's going to be slim pickings pretty fast here, and we're going to be news dependent. Like hopefully some people get traded or people get fired. Something good so we can give the people what they want.
They tune into the podcast here because we always have quality content that is very entertaining. They should always tune into the podcast. I mean, we could talk about Disney movies if we wanted to, and I think we'd be all right. So
yeah, I'm a Stitch guy.
Oh, my daughter is she's on a Stitch kick right now. Everything
I love that,
Stitch.
dude.
Just had a Stitch party. She's got a Stitch cover. You couldn't have picked a better thing to just mention right now. So yeah,
pretty safe bets, pretty safe odds. Who doesn't love Stitch? That movie holds up, or all his little shows, they still hold up. I don't know how they make it so funny. It's probably a model for the Minions because the Minions can't say much either. And but everything they do and the noises they make and just their mannerisms is what you love to watch. And big Stitch guy over here.
That's good.
Lilo's okay too.
Put myself on the spot. I really can't. I can't think. I used to love back when I was growing up, you'd have everything come on after school, and it was like Transformers and G.I. Joe or He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and stuff. But you started to get some Disney shows too. So you had like DuckTales, and DuckTales was like awesome. Darkwing Duck, that was my deal. Like probably around 4th grade, 5th grade, something like that. So I was a big Darkwing Duck fan. So I have to go back and look, man. I mean, that's I'm kind of put myself on the spot with that. I'm not like anti-Disney anything though. Like I've watched all the classics, Lady and the Tramp,
Lion King, Hercules, all that.
Yeah, exactly. I went back even further than that. The kid was into Little Mermaid, and I'm missing
Hercules
some
is
of that.
around that time. So is Lion King.
Yeah, they had like this jump in the 90s where they ran out of princesses and they went with like Hercules and like Emperor's New Groove and
dude, I love
like
Emperor's New Groove. That's also still funny to this day.
Yeah.
Some great voice actors in that one.
Yeah, so well, anyways, but you know what? The GOAT though is Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin. Like,
oh yeah, I love Aladdin too. Aladdin's great.
I don't think that's one. That's a very high bar. And I mean, Will
Jasmine's
Smith.
hot.
Hey, if you get yourself a chance, take a look at Adam Driver. I think years ago on Saturday Night Live did a Aladdin spoof with
I bet.
magic,
Yeah, he kind of looks like him. I can see it.
magic carpet ride, and it's pretty funny stuff. So that'll do it for us, folks. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're well past and beyond it. I'll let you know if there's something else coming in and later this week. Don't just pop in. But Pro Bowl games, who cares? TJ Watt's not playing in it. I'm not very he's not even playing it. It's like American Gladiators. So who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. So
Have him do American Ninja Warrior.
yeah, the same difference. It's just like some blend of that with the NFL. Here, just slap the sticker on there. Just throw it on like the Flex Seal commercial. So my name's Joe. His name's Zach. We appreciate you tuning in, watching, listening wherever you're from. Drop us a line about your Disney movies too. I probably like everything. My mom, in fact, we're trying to go to Disney in a couple of weeks here. So I'll be out. So no remote podcast from the Magic Kingdom, unfortunately. So anyways, talk to everyone later, as we always do, as we sign off on this show. We encourage everyone to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.